This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages, right here on #WeAreMovieClub. It's time for Bad Movie Club. Movies so bad that they made manifest and come to us for us to talk about. Salutations, I am Camerai. I am conversation ready, and today might be one of the first movies that I really gotta lean into. That this might be a bad Kevin Smith movie. It's definitely not good. It is a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Where's your brother at? Go get him. I'll take his harness off. It is definitely not my type of movie, but it has enough of it that it definitely makes it still entertaining, and I definitely can get into some bits of it. It reminds me of a more feminine, more modern Scott Pilgrim, if you will. And I want to do the rest of the movie like this, where we're talking about these goddamn yoga hosers, eh? And I guarantee you this should be very offensive, because I can already feel myself going Irish, and I didn't really want to do that. Goddamn yoga hosers, clean up about the A to Z, eh? Sorry about that. So I could go through my exercises and try to maintain this horrible Canadian accent the whole time, but I don't know if I want to do that. We could try for a little bit, because it's already fucking falling apart. Sorry. What's a great white north about? Red, white, never blue, eh? Majority of them pretty much sound like us anyways. You get a couple spots where it's like, oh, you're from the Canada. Get your Canadoos and your Canadon'ts. Whatever. The movie opens on the A to Z, and with this weird music video, eh? And it's these two girls in the back of a convenience store, if you remember, and they're singing a lot, and they've got a drummer guy with them that looks way too old, because they look like they should be high school kids, and they're singing, and it's not necessarily very good, but maybe it's just very a stylistic choice. I can't do it. Just torture myself for a half hour trying to make that happen for you. If you give me lines to read that's different, I could probably make that happen. But so of course at the end of their little song, where one of the Colleens, because they're both Colleens, gets all the rhymes wrong or whatever, and they pretend like it's a big deal, but I don't know if that's part of the song or not. It's very unclear. And I think it's supposed to do that. You're supposed to be alienated by these teenagers who are into their own things and their own way they do things, and that we're not supposed to be part of their world, even if you are, because I guarantee you there were some, what was it, 15 and a half there, Canada girls. Canada girls. Yeah, that's a word. That's what we said. Canada girls. Canada. Oh, you Canadians. But he ends up doing a drum solo, removing his shirt, throwing his drumsticks away, pulling new ones, and basically just vents every little rebellious aspect of himself into that drum piece. And then Harley Morrison and the gang are all banging on the front door, and they're lying about lady problems to justify closing the store, just like Kevin or Brian O'Halloran did in Clerks. But I'm assuming Kevin used to do it in real life, so I'm sure he's exceedingly proud of his daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter. So yeah, if that's unclear, the two ladies that are in this poster here for Yoga Hosers, that there is Harley Quinn Smith there. It's daughter of Jennifer Schwalbach, who you can pretty much very much see in this area here. You can tell that, yeah, that's definitely Jen's daughter. And then over here is Johnny Depp's daughter, and if you see her in the movie, you can pretty much tell if you're looking for it. Savi. So, so, eat the camera. She's adorable. Sorry, I love how she doesn't know what to do. So let's see. Yeah, so they go back out and go to work. One of the ladies points out like the paper about the first movie, Tusk. If you're unfamiliar with this too, it's the first movie in the Canadian horror trilogy, which is going to be Tusk, Yoga Hosers, and Moose Jaws. So, oh my god, I'm really excited for Moose Jaws because it's just gonna be Jaws with the moose. That's the whole selling point. That's the whole joke for the hour and a half movie that's gonna happen out of it. So you're okay. You wanna go? You can go. Let's see. I don't know. There's just a lot of garbage up front here. The whole point of the beginning of the movie is to do establishing shots of these are the girls, these are their life, this is what they do. They're clerks in the A to Z. They're not part of anything spectacular and special, but they're always got their nose on their phones and their social media, and their whole world's just in here. And they're all about looking cool and trendy and getting boys or getting boys' attention rather. Not necessarily getting boys themselves. So, like, the big event at the beginning of this movie, and I mentioned this during the Aliens vs. Predator Requiem review, or podcast, rather, is that it starts very normal. It's very much a teen drama, comedy, movie type thing, where it's this big event is like being able to go to a grade 12 party. And if you're unfamiliar with what that means in English, being American, it means a 12th grade party when they're sophomores. They're going to a party 2 grades above theirs in high school. Ugh, it's really simple. Some people get confused or didn't watch Degrassi. Go watch that. It's good stuff. Maybe not now. Maybe it'll be dated finally. But what's really fun is that they go home and like they have those discussions, right? Because I guess they're Canadians and like they actually tell their parents shit for some reason. I think it's a very normal thing for American kids not to tell their parents anything. It's still fucked up and wrong, but whatever. So when Harley's parent, who is her parent in real life, Jennifer Schwalbach plays Colleen M's mom. I think that's right. Having them both named Colleen is fucking stupid. It was a dumb decision. And I'm sure they were just laughing about it, and they couldn't come up with another name, so they just, it would be funny if we call them both Colleen, right? It's just Colleen S and Colleen M, right? Colleen S and M. Oh. And if you kind of look at them, like, maybe sadomasochism, maybe that applies. I don't know. I really don't want to think about that part right now. So she refuses to let her go, even though she's like a super liberal mom, without her date knife, or something stabby. So she gives her the Moyle, her date knife, which is a switchblade of all things. So in a Canadian movie, or a movie about Canadians rather, it is very interesting to see that kind of pop out, because it did take me back. About as much as the very official looking guns from the first movie did. But I mean, like, it was the Americans were refusing to. I don't know. It seemed well to do. There was like some poeticism behind the guns of the first movie. And this one, it was just like, guys, your dicks. Here's a knife. It's like, okay, we went there. Or guys have dicks, I guess, was her point, really. And then like we get like exposed to their Yogi Bear. Let that sink in for just a moment. Wait for Warner Brothers to sue us, because apparently they acquired Hanna-Barbera in the late 90s, and I had no idea. For almost 2 decades, I had no idea Hanna-Barbera was ever bought up. And apparently the original owners died as well. I think that was part of it, is they probably got in poor health in their last 10 years. So I guess it's understandable if they want to sell out, make a little bit of money to retire on, relax, have a good time, because they did give us like the Jetsons, Yogi Bear, Flintstones, Tom and Jerry, Snagglepuss. I don't know why that's the one I always remember. I think it's always because the exit stage left. that nonsense. Droopy dog. The dog that talk like this. I'm so sad. There's better droopy dog impressions, I'm sure. I am totally off book here. Oh, man. So we go to Colleen S.'s house, and Dad is weak. He's not even, like, compromising. He's just like, oh, grade 12 party, I'm so excited for you. Oh, where did my little girls go? And then stepmom whores her way into the room. Now, granted, I like that actress, but, like, something just rubbed me wrong about her and, like, the way she behaved towards the girls. And ultimately, I'm on the girls' side. They're the protagonists, even if they're dumb. And the dad's, like, a real pushover, so, like, I kind of want to, like, be on his side a little bit too. So if she's being a bitch to him, then I'm on his side, off her side, and it's just one of those things. We are finally live on We Are Movie Club. So happy. Sorry, I just had to check. The health's real fucked up, but we'll see how it is. So that's what it was. Is like their yogi of all people. Come here. Let me take the thing off. Come here. I'm going to take your little harness off. It's a good experiment. I'm glad you kept it on. You didn't really complain all that much, but I'm sure you want it off. There. You don't have to wear it all the time. Stupid. This is Rooster. You want to say hi? No? Be cute. Be adorable. So he's talking about them about CanadianCorpses.com, talking about, like, finding body parts all over Winnipeg. And Winnipeg, Manitoba is, like, about as due north as you can get. Like, you go north of North Dakota, there's Manitoba, and then Winnipeg's there. So it's and I looked at it, and it's about a 6-hour flight from there to Niagara Falls. So when Dad goes to Niagara Falls, that's a trip. It's either a 21-hour car ride through the States, a 24-hour car ride through Canada, or they're flying. I don't think their roads are set up really well, I'm being honest. If it's more cost efficient to come through and around a bunch of our states. But point is the dad's weak, and then he's obviously whipped too. Like, he tries to leave the door open because his daughter told him to, and then he shuts it because his wife promises him to jump in the bouncy house. Not even sex. Like, you want to go on the Ferris wheel? Huh? Do ya? You want to jump in the bouncy house? I can jump in the bouncy house. You can do it twice. And granted, I sympathize with her for a little bit. She's obviously horny for power or sex or something there, and should have it. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, but then the girls do something really dickish, and it's kind of weird and sweet at the same time. But at the same time, they shouldn't be cock blocking their dad with his wife. Now, if he was cheating or something, that'd be different. But they do like another little weird music video, and like they're having like flashback montages and stuff, and it's all about like, you're the one that I love, and I don't know. If I could sing it, I would. There's a lot of singing and music in this, so if you're not down with that, don't watch this thing. I think that's what attracts me to it, like, because it reminds me of Scott Pilgrim. It does things in a manner in which Scott Pilgrim would do things. But it is what it is. It's just something different. It's a little bit more modern, a little bit more stereotypically feminine. So they go to school, and then they're sitting out of yoga. And for the life of me, I'm trying to figure this out. Even watching it back this time, like, what is happening here? They were excused from yoga? Is that what happens? And sure enough, they got a note from their yogi that they don't have to do yoga that's not his yoga, or some shit. And so, like, the loophole in this fight between them and this teacher who is a little uptight, but I think she's justified in it because she's uptight from having to deal with these stupid punk ass kids who don't want to, like, get with the program. So I was digging it. Teacher was hot for teacher, whatever, personality, everything. I was like, that's the lady that needs some positive attention in her life. Let's take her out for a nice dinner, walk in the park, something like that. It used to be like I had a thing for the history teacher a little bit, but I don't know, it shifted. I don't know, something about that energy and spark that she has, where she's yelling at these teenagers about about no phones. You've got unlimited minutes. And the punchline on that whole joke is that Colleen M faints, of all things. It's like, you took my phone? Like, no, you did that to yourself. You caused a dependency, and then you gave yourself withdrawal, and no one likes you. And that's one of the weird things. Is like they're not necessarily very popular. Like everybody knows them, but given the population of the town, but it doesn't seem to. It doesn't seem to like be a thing. Like, so their sophomores are not necessarily noted, but like they're known. It's weird. Of course, they probably don't do anything. They're not part of any groups or cliques or anything. They're just the Colleens. Colleen squared. Something like that. So in history, they learn all about Canadian Nazis, and it takes up like a whole 20 minutes or something of this weird expositional stuff of like Arcadius Arcane, and I don't know why I even remember the name. So you get to see Haley Joel Osment be like this Nazi speaker in the town square, and he gives this presentation where it's all beaver cartoons of like putting Jews on boats and sending them out to the Hudson Bay and then shooting them with cannons, which is fucking awful. It not only is it awful, it's a bad plan. And what I'm laughing at is not the death of Jews. Hopefully I'm sombering up a little bit for your pleasure. It's the idea that, like, when he stops speaking, it's, ha ha! Why is no one applauding? That got me. That really got me. Just Haley Joel Osment, like, upset that no one's clapping for him after giving a pro-Nazi speech. I was laughing hard. I think I literally almost fell out of my chair. So... It's still getting me. Just I want that thing on a shirt, or maybe I'll turn it into a graphic or something, and just, why is no one applauding? So for whatever reason, they're wandering around the school. They go to the library or whatever, they're at the principal's office to get their phones back. That's what it is. And they have this nice little moment with Principal Invincible. And then they run into Guy Lapointe. Guy Lapointe. I'm trying to think how you do a French Canadian accent properly, because it's Guy Lapointe if you're going to be super American about it. But when he says his name, it's very smooth and run together like Guy Lapointe. Guy Lapointe. So if I'm going to be very French right now and I say Guy Lapointe, there we are. It's Guy Lapointe. C'est la vie. La vie. So he talks about his book being in the library. They sit down to talk, and apparently somebody drew balls on his face on his thing, and that's a joke that goes on way too long. And his daughter, it's Johnny Depp who plays Guy Lapointe, and Guy Lapointe sits across from his daughter and Haley Smith, or Harley Smith, and his daughter just laughs far too hard at him. Now, granted, Guy Lapointe is fairly funny, and it barely looks like Johnny Depp. If we're being honest. And if you'll notice, throughout the movie, his moles on his face shift. So it's like every scene he's got a different configuration. And I didn't even notice until like 3/4 of the way through the movie where he had one on his nose. I was like, that wasn't there before. Like I was actually trying to rub my monitor to get the dirt off my monitor, but it was moving with his face. And I was like, oh, they got me. So congratulations, Kevin Smith, Johnny Depp. You got me. You got this one. At least with that. And this is fucked up for a movie that started out like this. I actually think this might be a bad movie. I'm gonna say pretty much all positive things about it. There's very little about this movie like I can point out and go, I don't like this. The very Scott Pilgrim-y like intro screens for all the characters. Like anytime a character is introduced, it's like blah 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 approaches, and it shows a phone and like a little infograph like it would in a video game. Like, hey, here's the stats on this person. I could probably do without those, but like, I don't know, it fits, and it's very Scott Pilgrim-y, so I'm okay with it. I'm gonna have to do that one again soon. So let's see here. So they talk with him for far too long. They have to go to work because Dad's going to Niagara Falls, or basically her calling stepmom's a bitch and is taking him to Niagara Falls for his birthday on a day that's obviously not on his birthday. Just to fuck with them at their first chance to go to a grade 12 party. So they're being pills at the store. They get told off by customers. So they try to have a party at the A to Z, which is very Clerks of them. And being that this is written by the guy who wrote Clerks, I can understand why. But of course, it's just the two guys that they were talking to, and it's only because Colleen M likes the one guy. And honestly, if he just played his cards right, he would have got places. Hopefully places they both enjoyed. But being that that's not his interest, that there's a twist in the movie that this movie didn't need at all, because we've already had one weird death in the movie, which is what Gale Point is there investigating. I forgot to mention that. Sorry. There's so many funny little moments in this. I was picturing Harley Morrison yelling at something to get out of his bum. Very funny scene. I would watch and repeat for quite a little bit. I'd love to see like a do not laugh challenge with him where that's in there, just to see if he laughs at himself talking about his bum, and then maybe cut it up a little bit so like it repeats a couple times and then his bum repeats a couple times. Anyways, so because of why they're cozying up to these girls, they want to kill them and sacrifice them to Satan. And apparently, this is the first time I've heard of like a counter for it. Like, I've heard like, hey, we just do this, but I've never heard of like there being a magic number that you could hit that earns you free ticket to Satan for X amount of sacrifices. I've never heard that before this. I did seem to think that was odd, but just Canadian Satanists even like were really odd. And then it was super odd when like he goes to cut into her and then she's got a knife pointed at his dick and then he stops. It's like, you can definitely like get in a knife fight right now and probably have the advantage and even kill her. But you're too much of a coward to go into a situation where you haven't already won. And maybe her fighting back, maybe that ruins the soul. I don't know. I don't know the rules on sacrificing people for those purposes. Anything I'm familiar with is all like serial killers and cannibalism and shit. Like it's never spiritual murder. Fuck is that? People doing with their lives. Anyways, let's see. So because Colleen fights back, he agrees to get the fuck out of there. I apologize. Because he's Canadian, it's like, oh, maybe we got a bit carried away there. And believe it or not, he does the big teeth talk there. And it does sound kind of like this when he talks, and it's fine. But right after he surrenders, something crawls up his bum too. And so we see like the second death happen. Or is it the second? Maybe it's the third, because we got to see Harley Morrison. Oh, that's right. We just saw the head of the little creatures, and then it ran away as the music started, because they don't like the music for whatever reason. So these little Bratzies, that's what they call them, are like crawling up their bums. This happens to the other guy outside too. So the Colleens actually get blamed by the police for these friggin' murders, where like these Bratzies crawl up their butts and like out their mouths. So I don't know how like you justify that or whatever. The only thing that like really has to seal the deal is that of course it's a ridiculous story that they're telling. These little men made of bratwurst and sauerkraut for blood. We had to fight them, and their bodies are everywhere, but they're not there anymore. Except for the microwave, which would have taken time to clean out. But them fighting the Bratzies was pretty funny. I'll give you that. Now it really kind of ruins the potential of a badass fight, if you will. So it's one of the ways where, like, it really differs from Scott Pilgrim, where like he's just popping around and kicking butt, like, because it's time to do that. They're like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? The yoga way. And so they go to like Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3, and like they kind of rotate between some of the stuff they know, and they're even saying the dumb little things where it's like, dissatisfied customer. I don't like the product you've given me. And there's like a little foot stomp motion that goes with it. But to their credit, they're using the resources that they have at hand to their advantage and winning. So I can only bitch about it so much. I'm gonna bitch because it's what I do. But whatever. So, oh yeah, I called them kraut monsters. I thought it was funny. Just reading it's fucking weird. This whole movie's weird. Moose Jaws is gonna be totally fucked up if he can ever get it done. And I'm hoping he lives long enough to get through it. There's 2 movies I really want out of him, and then I want him to gear down to directing Flash because he and Supergirl, because he seems to enjoy that, and doing podcasts and relaxing for the rest of his life, because who knows how long we've got of Kevin left, and I want him to enjoy it, and I want us to enjoy him enjoying it. But what was I gonna say? The movies that I want out of him are Moose Jaws, because he promised it long ago, and Jay and Silent Bob Over the Hill. And if they brought back the Colleens for that, where like Jay and Silent Bob are in an old folks home in Canada or some shit, and then the Colleens are taking up a part-time job or whatever, being caregivers, doing a shitty job at that with them, I think that would be great. And then Kevin would be able to sit in a motorized wheelchair for the whole movie. Jay would get like a little walker and get to do like the shakes and whatnot. And it'd be an old folks home, so he'd be fucking his way around anyways. I don't think he should try for the girls, but that could be the joke. Where it's like they disarm him really easily. It's like they just carry like a little stick to hit him in the dick with or whatever. It's like, Jay, go back to your seat. Ah, okay. I don't know why that's funny, but it is. This is just me. This is me laughing. This is the whole point of doing this run of Kevin Smith movies. And I've set up a bunch of comic book movies to follow this run until Moose Jaws comes back, and the Moose Jaws will make the cut eventually. Or maybe it'll go to Scary Movie Squad, because then it'll be relevant or some shit. But I'll probably come back and do Adam Sandler movies, because I actually want to rewatch them. But I can't think of any other excuse to do it, so it'll probably be here. But we've got plenty of comic book movies to get us through till summer, I promise. There's a bunch of them, and even the one, I'm not just talking about Captain America's carjackings. I'm talking about going back and doing all the pre-MCU Marvel movies, and Suicide Squad, because I want to watch it again. Other people don't like it. That's what this place is about. It's about me bitching and complaining about movies I want to watch again because other people don't want to watch them. Oh man. So they get arrested. So the point is, they went to jail. This is such the most derailed conversation I think I've ever had with myself. They go to jail, and Guy Lapointe has to break them out. Of course, he doesn't get their phones, because they go back to the A to Z to find, it's not Idris Arcane, but it's the other guy, played by Ralph Garman himself, who is a Nazi that talks like, oh, no, 999. When he, and talking like this, and, because he is the German type, and, yeah, he has an accent, and he at least worked for the Nazis. He was a college professor, yeah. And he was bullied by the Nazis, and he just wanted to be an artist. But yes. So they stumble across the secret passageway in the bathroom, which was terribly obvious. And he gives him like this whole expositional backstory, and because it's Ralph Garman, and because it's this horrible Nazi accent the entire time, and he's creepy and intimidating and such. He goes through a couple different things. He does a little bit of Al Pacino, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he does of course he does Adam West, but my Adam West is terrible. I could never quite capture. I really would like to do an Adam West. I'm severely jealous of Ralph's ability to do celebrity impressions. And the one, it's guy who played the Mad Hatter. And I always picture him with like the cartoonish, like, don't you know, like, and like mouth things that don't exist on your real face. Jeez, Ralph, what are you doing to me? Put me in a better place, don't you know? I'll get there. I'll figure it out. That one I can do. I gotta hear it a couple of times. And you don't care about that. This is just me rambling. But they get down there and they meet the guy. And he's real nice. He introduces himself. He ends up releasing the Colleens at least, and introducing them to the Bratzies. Because they were told not to hurt the girls anyways. And then he unveils his great piece of art, the Goalie Golem, which is a flesh golem pieced together by all the people he's murdered, or technically the Bratzies murdered, and then probably dragged their bodies back, and then he formed it into the golem, and then through whatever technology that he used to make the little Bratzie people, like he put into that thing, and then the Bratzies essentially pilot it, which would be odd if we're not thinking of this as a Scott Pilgrim type movie with a boss level essentially. And so they even call it out at one point. Like I don't think I made the note, but the goalie wants to kill the girls because they're running their mouths, because that's what they do. And I think even Gila Point gets in at some point. But regardless of all that, the German guy gets very upset, and he's like, I demand that you go kill the critics. Like, his whole thing is he wants to kill the negative people, the critics, the haters that got the hate. So it's like he's weirdly trying to do some kind of good in the world. And maybe in his head he only killed bad people. Hannibal Lecter style, maybe. And so the goalie golem turns on him and smashes him because he's being critical of the goalie golem. So he is therefore interpreted as a negative presence, as a negative critic. So they smash him through the floor, which I thought was really impressive, being that the hole that was left was only the size of Ralph's head. And Ralph's head's not that big, if that was your joke. So the Colleens, in a very Scott Pilgrim-esque style, kill him with yoga. And every time they get like a big critical hit or whatever, like he vomits up a Bratzie and they get to kill it. So it's there's very much a video game written into this movie. If you could just find it and put it out there, it would be great. But they get through all that mess, and they, like, obviously the German guy's dead. They get Gala Point free. The goalie golem's down. The Bratzies are dead. They get famous again, because not only are they famous for the Winnipeg Walrus, they're now, what is it, the Boo Boo Bears? And I don't know why that per se, other than the joke. Like, it's one of those things, it's like the setup verifies the punchline. So like Warner Brothers is trying to sue him like more now, because not only is he Yogi Bear, because that's his freaking name, but now like his little boo-boos that are famous have brought him under more copyright infringement, which isn't true, because unless he was making them into cartoon bears, he would be fine. Like, it's a bullshit joke, but that's the point, is to have Justin Long as this Zen yogi character just freaking out because Justin Long can do anything, include play the shark from Jaws. Now, that would be incredible if Justin Long was Moose Jaws. If Kevin let Justin Long play the moose from Moose Jaws, that would be hilarious. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I'm going to tweet that in like 20 minutes or whatever. Probably before the next movie thing, because we still got to do We Are Movie Club. You are leaning on the keyboard, sir. I don't know why you think that's acceptable. So with all that, it all winds down. And of course, it ends with a weird Canadian music video. It's the two girls singing a version of the Canadian national anthem, if you will. And of course, they do it together in English. And then I think just because Rose Leslie, John Depp's daughter, can do it in French, she does it in French. And so it's all "C'est la vie, la vie." And it's in the back of the store again. It's in French. I don't know what to do with it. I can't go around and tell you everybody to watch this. This is not a great movie. This is not a movie for anyone and everyone. This is a movie for Kevin Smith fans who want to be future Harley Smith fans and Rose Leslie fans. I really think it really was like a nice bonding moment between the family members, essentially. Yeah, maybe they made a little bit of money off it, but like, it's what they do. When you're a wood carver, that's how you want to spend time with your kids, right? Is wood carving. It's like, I'll teach them the trade, and we'll have a good time, and maybe we'll sell their little trinkets and make a couple bucks. But I don't think that was the end all point. So until you see us next time, join us over at Rabbit/Camera every Friday and Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern for Bad Movie Club, where we have all these lovely treasures. We're gonna do some good some bad comic book movies coming up. Bear with us. It's really just kind of whatever I want to watch on this show, because I can do what I want to, and I don't feel obligated. Like the other ones. Scary Movie pretty much has to be horror movie, or Scary Movie Squad pretty much has to be horror movies, and We Are Movie Club should be like popular moving movies if possible. And the Marvel run has kind of pushed the boundaries as far as I want to do with that, but we'll get back to it. I got a lot of movies to catch up over the next couple of years, or the past couple of years. So until you see us next time, have a nice day from us here at #WeAreMovieClub. This has been Bad Movie Club. If I say anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations and they'll take you to other channels. Thanks for watching.